Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next edition of Buy New Hampshire Now with Porcupine Real Estate. My name is Dominic DiMaria. I'm an agent with Porcupine, and I am joined here today by Carla Garrick. How are you, Carla?
Hey, Dominic, great to see you again. I like being in the answer the seats.
Well, I think today's topic is probably a little bit more your speed. So I think let's dive right into it. So we've been hearing a lot from people like, how do I pick a town that's going to have community? That I'm going to find people that I have like-minded ideals and be able to join right into a group when I find my place in New Hampshire or while I'm looking for my place in New Hampshire. So how would you answer that?
Well, obviously the bigger urban centers are going to have more porcupines. So the obvious answer is Manchester is a really great spot to land in. Concord, is pretty central. Really, any place that has one of our community centers with the Free State Project is probably a strong location to look at to sort of use both either as your home base, as you say, to start out looking, or to make sure you have like Insta friends.
Now, one resource that people can use if they're looking at different areas of the state would be this map that we have on our website here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So
Wow,
each of
those
these,
are houses we've sold all over the state, correct?
yes. So these are not just single houses either. So like, let's click on one of these towns like Wolfboro right here. So this one, we've only sold one house in Wolfboro. However, that doesn't mean there's only one person living there. It's just, where we've had clients before. So Rochester over here on the east side of the state, 5 homes sold there. And if you go to like those big centers, like Carla was saying, like Concord, we've got 18. We've got Manchester down here, 81. That's a big one. Hooksett, Suncook, all these different areas here, all very close to each other. And one thing that I like to remind people too is that there are, driving in New Hampshire is not a big deal. It's one of those states that's very small in space. So, I mean, you can get across it in, from one side to the other in 2 hours. And commute from like Manchester to Concord is what, 25 minutes or so?
25 minutes. Yeah, really easy. So I would highly recommend for folks who are figuring it out. We want to sell you a house before you even get here. But if you are going to use a kind of landing pad, maybe pick those central areas and use that to then kind of look around. I had mentioned the community centers. So for people who don't know, of course, there's a big one here in Manchester. That's the Quill in West Manchester. Up in Concord, we have the Prickle. That is a really good space, beautifully surrounded by conservation area. They do a lot of board games and barbecues and outdoorsy kind of things there. And then up on the east side of the state, near the Free Coast, near the coast, we have the Shell, and they have, monthly potluck. And then up in the Croydon area where Bardo is, they have a monthly potluck. So really, there's just something to get you started with the community.
And don't forget the North Country too. There's a good community way up in the North Country who would not be happy if we forgot them. So
no, and in fact, that area is really growing. It seems to be appealing to a lot of our out-of-state buyers. You can get some bang for your buck and some really nice views. So, that's definitely something for people who don't mind being a little remote. The North Country really is quite appealing.
And then the other question that comes up in association with that is, I don't want to live in an area that's too one political side. I don't want to live in another area that's to this political side. Like, are there specific communities that you feel like are a good place to get involved in? If that's one of the things that's on your mind?
Yeah, so in New Hampshire, we have a lot of localism. Localism on steroids is part of the reason we actually are here in
Yeah.
New Hampshire. So each town really does have its own flavor. The bigger cities have, City Hall, and they have their aldermen and they have their meetups. But the smaller towns, you can get involved from the moment you move. You can become a library trustee. You can work on your zoning board. You can, join, or you could just do something like join your food kitchen or stuff like that to sort of integrate into the community as well. Politics is in Concord. I mean, that's where our state house is. So if you're planning to like run for office and to serve up there, think about that. It's a longer drive from the North Country through the Notch if you want to come serve. But again, because of the localism we see here, it's going to depend on the flavor of your town, kind of what you want, right? Like some of our buyers want rural, off the grid, solar stuff. Some people are like, no, I literally want to be next to a, power generator and yay, more pylons,
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it
Yep.
really is a personal preference. But, Mark Warden, who's also part of our little operation here, I know he mentors people who want to get politically involved, and anyone who wants to move and who's, burning to go with that sort of path, definitely talk to us, talk to me, talk to Mark, talk to you, sort of find out, what is a good place that would sort of meet your needs. So part of our thing, right? We're fiercely independent and we're all individualists. And so we really want to accommodate every buyer, every seller where they are at.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And we'd be happy to answer those questions for you on an individual basis. How can they get a hold of you, Carla?
Sure. It's Carla at porcupinerealestate.com.
And if you want to reach out to me, mine is Dominic at porcupinerealestate.com. Well, thanks again. We'll see you in the next one.